The Hawke's Bay Regional Council is using floating wetlands in an effort to remove excess nutrients in the Tukipo catchment. Because the plants are not attached by their roots to pond or stream beds, they're forced to take nutrients from the water, in a similar concept to hydroponics.
We're trialling the use of a new technology, floating treatment wetlands, to strip nutrient, in this instance nitrogen, out of the waterway, which is at levels contributing to purified and algae growth in our streams. We're hoping that this technology, in time, if it proves successful, we'll be able to apply on farm, but we want to trial it under our own sort of environments to begin with. We've got recorded nitrogen levels in this particular waterway of between 2 and 4 milligrams per litre. We're hoping to reduce that by up to 90%.
You like that?
We've worked quite a lot with trying to develop wetlands, which are really nature's way of dealing with these sort of issues. So they're often called nature's kidneys because they can cleanse water before it gets into waterways. This is a sort of innovative new way of doing it, where you've got a system that can actually float, and therefore it sort of goes up and down with water levels. The other thing about it is the plants growing in this thing, the only place they can get their nutrients is from the water itself, because their roots are hanging down below, taking up their nutrients from the water. It's a novel new way of putting a wetland into an existing waterway and providing those sort of same treatment sort of capacity that you'd get in a natural wetland. To a certain extent, these are a hydroponic system, and the plants are growing in the water and taking up their nutrients from the water, but they also modify the environment around where they are occurring. They create low oxygen areas under the mat, which can cause bacteria to be able to convert some of these nutrients like nitrogen into nitrogen gas that gases off to the atmosphere. So this is a biofilm which grows on the roots. It's mainly bacteria, and they produce this slime, they grow within it. What happens in that is that it sort of acts as a sponge that can actually help to take up some of these dissolved nutrients from the water and then to make them available to the bacteria in the plants.
The floating wetlands are made of a recycled plastic, a PET plastic, and as you can see, recycled fibres, recycled Coke bottles. The interesting thing with these are actually a part of the nutrient stripping system. For every square metre of mat down there, which is approximately 4 inches deep, equates to a surface area of 200 square metres. Okay, and so that's a surface area that the biofilm that grows on the roots can also grow on the plastic fibres.
What we've got here is the floating mat, which has got, you can see it's got 4 layers. It's 200 millimetres deep. It's got the foam in it, giving it buoyancy. What we're looking at here really is how much these plants, these carex sedges, have grown through the mat, and how much their roots have developed and gone down into the waterway, because it's this root mass and the biofilm that's growing on them that's the real thing that we're looking for out here. And here you can see, if you lift this up a bit, they're just starting to come through, maybe 100, 200 millimetres of roots growing through there, and that we expect that to increase over the next few months, so that we're getting a root mass maybe 1/2 metre deep, which is going right down into the water column there. We've really gone for trying to provide plants that are going to be long-term, sort of low-maintenance plants. It's better to have shorter growing plants that don't get too tall, so the islands don't flip over in the wind or something like that, and ones that don't die back strongly in winter. So we've got plants that are going to be pretty resilient, both in terms of wildlife and in terms of visual appearance and management. So watercress is another option. You can actually use it in growing in these mats, and we've also worked with watercress as well. Watercress is quite amazing because it will take up very high levels of nutrients into its tissue, up 6 to 7% nitrogen, which is very high.
We're real happy with how it's performing. They've survived the flood event. The carexes are growing beautifully, and that's pretty obvious, especially when you make a comparison with those on the side and those on the mats. It's just a question of time now over the next 6 months and getting that root mass established underneath.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.